Y'all, if you're a peanut butter and chocolate lover like I am, you have to make these gluten-free oatmeal peanut butter bars. They hail from lunch ladies in days gone past, and take it from someone who ate them way back then when they were served at schools. They are next level, I'm telling you. They are so addictive. So let's get into it and I'll show you how to make them. We'll start by making the cookie base, and that begins with butter and sugar like most good cookie recipes do. I've got 1 cup or 226 grams of softened butter, a cup or 200 grams of granulated sugar, and a cup or 200 grams of brown sugar. And I'll just cream these together until they're light and fluffy, just about a minute or two. I'll add in a teaspoon of vanilla, give or take, and then 2 large eggs that are at room temperature. And then I'll let this go for about 30 seconds after I add the eggs. And now I'll add in 1 cup or 240 grams of smooth peanut butter. Or chunky, I guess you could also use. I don't see why chunky wouldn't work fine as well. This is like a oatmeal peanut butter cookie base. Alrighty, I'll dump in 2 cups or 200 grams of old-fashioned oats. Make sure your oats are gluten-free, y'all. I'll leave a link for the ones I use. They're Purity Protocol, and they're from Bakery on Main. That's the name of the brand. And then this is 1 3/4 cups or 245 grams of my gluten-free all-purpose flour blend, the recipe for which you'll find on my website, a teaspoon of baking soda, and a teaspoon of kosher salt. And I'll just quickly mix all of these just until a dough forms, like a stiff dough, and everything comes together. Okay, I'll spray my baking sheet with nonstick spray. This is a half sheet pan, y'all. And this entire sheet pan will be filled with these bars. So you're going to get many, many bars from this, especially if you cut them into small pieces. And I'll dollop big spoonfuls of the dough so it's easier to spread as opposed to like just one big mound of dough. This dough is pretty easy to spread, y'all, so you can probably use your hands, but I like to use an offset spatula because it gets them like perfectly level. And I appear to be pretty much of a perfectionist when it comes to stuff like this. But you'll see in a little bit why that doesn't really make any sense when the peanut butter goes on top. So my oven is preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'll bake these for exactly 15 minutes. This is straight out of the oven, y'all, so it's really hot, and without a lot of hesitation, I'm going to drop large cookie scoops full of 1.5 cups or 360 grams of peanut butter all over the top. And as you can see, I hope, the cookie sinks a little bit. I thought this was a serious mistake when I first made these. So when I made them again within a couple of days, because they were literally gone from our house in a couple of days, I actually melted the peanut butter in the microwave. So it was easier to spread on top. And the consensus in my house was we all liked the sunken cookies better. So I'd say they were like a little fudgier, if that makes any sense. They just were like less dry, I guess. But it's ultimately your choice. Just giving you my family's 2 cents worth. Okay, I need to let this sit for 5 to 6 minutes so the peanut butter has time to melt just slightly from the heat of the cookie. Alrighty, I'm going to come spread this out now. And as you can see, there are large holes where some of the cookies sunk. And like I said, we're completely okay with that. Just do your best to spread it corner to corner. And then I'm going to let these cool completely and let that peanut butter set up. So while that's happening, I can go ahead and make the yummy chocolate frosting that goes on top. This is basically a chocolate buttercream, and it is perfect on top of these bars, y'all. This is a half a cup or 113 grams of butter, and I'll just get this going first, along with 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And then I have 3 cups or 375 grams of powdered sugar and 4 tablespoons or 22 grams of unsweetened cocoa powder. This is just natural cocoa powder, but I'm sure you could use Dutch processed if you really want to. It'd be like a more deeply chocolatey frosting, but nothing wrong with that at all if that's what you want to use. Now I'll stream in a 1/4 cup or 60 ml of milk, just regular old milk. There are dairy-free suggestions, though, in the recipe if you need to be dairy-free. Let me just stop and scrape down the sides to get all of that powdered sugar in there. You can also use the whisk attachment for this, y'all, because it is a thinner frosting than like my usual American buttercream, so it will whip up a little more if you use the whisk attachment. Okay, great. Now the only thing left to do is spread this on top of the cooled bars. These bars have another name, like I said. They're called lunch lady bars, and that's because years and years ago, they served these, lunch ladies did, they served these at schools, and I swear I remember them. I remembered something from my childhood, my early school years, elementary school years, that had peanut butter, chocolate, and oatmeal, and it was one of my favorite things ever. And I asked my mom if she remembered them and if she had the recipe, and she didn't know what I was talking about. So it must not have been something that she made. And after I tasted these for the first time after years ago, I was so in love with these bars. It really took me way back, y'all, to like the 70s when everything was homemade. Let me just tell you, my son actually had the audacity to say these are better than a Reese's cup. That's how much he loved them. And I just might agree with him. Enjoy.